Hello. Excuse me. Hello, this is your weekly overview for week 8 of Miss Ahmed's chemistry class. So in this video, I'm going to show you the lessons for this week and what is due by Friday, October 16th. There are 2 assessments for this week, a Google Doc and a week 8 assessment, a weekly quiz. So make sure that you submit both of these things before Friday, October 16th. All right, so let's go through the lessons that you'll be expected to work on this week. On Monday and Tuesday, October 12th and 13th, this is our essential question. How is the periodic table organized? And we're going to be focused specifically on groups. So let's look at this lesson. Step 1 says to make a copy of the assessment for this week. So if you click on this link, it will open up to this Google document. Okay, your next task will then be to watch some videos of these different elements, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, and cesium, and make some observations of these elements reacting with air and observations of these elements reacting with water. Just fill in as much of this table as you can. It may not show some of these elements like rubidium and cesium reacting with air. In that case, just fill in some properties of rubidium and cesium. You guys can use a Google search, but just describe what rubidium is like and what cesium is like. Okay, in the video, it will show all of the alkali metals reacting with water though. So make sure that you guys record your observations as you watch the videos. You can find the videos right here on our Canvas page. This is the link in the YouTube. You can also use the Nearpod to watch the videos. It's in 2 different places. So make sure you guys watch those videos and record your observations on this Google Sheet. Okay. The next part of this Google Doc is going to have you define some key terms. So if you go to the Nearpod, you will find the definitions of these key terms in your Nearpod presentation. It's important that you guys understand, not just copy and paste the definition, but really understand what a valence electron is and what these energy levels are, because that will help to explain some of the differences in the properties that we're going to be observing in these elements. The next step is I've created a video to show you how to use a simulation that will model the atomic structure of different atoms. So watch this video to understand how to use the simulation, and then you guys can go to the simulation to create these models of the alkali metals. Once you create the models, you can fill in the number of protons, electrons, valence electrons, and energy levels in the atom. Okay, I've done the first one for you as an example, but you will need to fill in this table for sodium, potassium, rubidium, and cesium, making those elements. Okay, so that is our focus for our first lesson, is these alkali metals. How do they react? What do they look like on an atomic level? All right, if we go back to our home page, our second lesson is going to be looking specifically at periods. Okay, so if you click on the link for this lesson, again, we're going to be using that same Google Doc, this same assessment, only this time we're going to be observing period 3 elements on the periodic table. So your task is going to be describe the state at room temperature, do a little bit of research and figure out what state, liquid, solid, or gas, are each of these period 3 elements. What does this do in water? So I have some links to videos that you guys can watch to describe what these elements do in water. There's also an article here that summarizes the reaction with water for period 3 elements. And then one other observation, one other property of each of these metals. Sodium, aluminum, sulfur, chlorine. In this column, you're going to write one other property of those elements. Okay, so again, you can do some research online, but just write one other thing that you know about sodium, aluminum, sulfur, and chlorine. Okay, then again, you're going to go back to the simulation and fill in this data table about the models of the atoms that you create. So this time we're looking at elements in period 3, and you're going to record the number of protons, electrons, valence electrons, and energy levels. Okay, at the bottom of this Google Doc are some analysis questions. So make sure you guys answer all of these analysis questions and think about how the properties we observe relate to the atomic structure of the atom? How are the vertical columns on the periodic table the same, and how are the elements in the horizontal periods different? That's going to be our main task this week, is just understanding what the information on the periodic table tells us and how it relates to atomic structure and the properties of elements. Okay, so this is the first Google Doc, the first assessment that you guys are going to be required to fill out over the course of 2 days, 2 lessons. Your final task for this week, once you've submitted that Google Doc on this link, once you've uploaded that as finished assessment, your final task is to take the week 8 assessment. Okay, some of the questions will ask you to refer to the periodic table, so make sure you understand what's on the periodic table. Okay, again, this number at the top is the atomic number, the number of protons. This number here on bottom is the mass number, or how heavy those elements are. So use that information on your quiz to help you when you take the quiz questions. All right, that is the overview for week 8. You have 2 assessments that will be going on Gradebook. So make sure you guys submit both of those assessments. Make sure you guys understand how the periodic table works, how it is organized. I will be happy to answer your questions or give you guys some extra help if you get stuck. So if you're not sure what to do in chemistry this week, send me an email, reach out, and I will be more than happy to tutor you and give you some extra support. Have a great week.